Okay, today we're going to continue factoring trinomials. So we are going to look at this page of notes. So let's start with the top. It said, remember the box method. Go ahead and write your name on here because you are going to turn these notes in today. Remember the box method. Let's go ahead and multiply these so we can review how to multiply using the box. So to multiply these, remember we do 2x plus 1 times x plus 4. And we multiply rows and columns. So let's go ahead and do that. We have x times 2x. It's like 1 times 2 is 2. But then x times x is x squared. Then we do 1 times x, 1x, 2x times 4. That means I'm going to do 2 times 4, which is 8, and then keep my x. And then 1 times 4 is 4. Then whenever we write our final solution, we do make sure to add those. 8x and 1x make 9x. So we write our final multiplied version of this factored form like this. 2x squared plus 9x plus 4. So what I want you to notice is, see the top left box, the very first box is the one that has the x squared. The very bottom number, the bottom right, is the constant. It has no x's. And then the diagonal ones, these are going to be called our magic numbers. Those are added together to get the middle number. Okay? So we're using all of this box to factor and go the opposite way. So we know how to do this to this by multiplying. So we're going to go the opposite way and factor and go that way. So we're learning how to do something and then undo it. So we know how to multiply. Now we're going to remember what we did yesterday, which was factor, and go the opposite way. All right, so I'm just going to review these steps just a little bit. Here are the steps. These were our notes from yesterday. All the steps were written out really nicely for us. So to factor a trinomial, we're going to undo the multiplying using X box. So we are going from the trinomial, which is 3 terms, to something like this. X plus m times x plus n. There could be numbers in front of x. M and n can be any numbers. You could have a plus m or a minus m. There's a mixture. So in order to factor, following these steps from yesterday, we first identify A, B, and C. We create our X in our box, and we fill in different things. So on top is A times C. So whatever A and C are is what goes on top. Then B is on the bottom. Using X games, we're doing what multiplies, what 2 numbers multiply to get the number on top, and add to get the number on bottom. We find those magic numbers. Then we complete the box. We put in the first term up front, first box, last box is the last term. Your magic numbers go in here, and then you factor. Okay, so we're going to do this one following those steps. So step 1 says identify A, B, and C. So go ahead and write A, B, and C. Put AC on top. So you're actually multiplying A and C. So 2 times 4 is 8. And then B goes on the bottom of the X, 9. So we're looking at what multiplies to get 8 but adds to get 9. So you can look at your multiplication chart and look at how you can get 8. Or you can do like we did yesterday, where we went to y equals, and we do this number divided by x and look at our factors. Go to y equals, put in 8 divided by x. We want to look at all the numbers that multiply to get 8 and then see which ones add to get 9. So we hit second graph for the table. And everything's positive so far, so we don't need to look at our negative side. So 1 and 8. What is 1 times 8? 8. What is 1 plus 8? 9. That's it. Those are our magic numbers. So look at our box. It's partly completed. See how you have the first term here, last term here. First and last term are diagonals, and magic numbers are diagonals. So 1x and 8x. So now we're going to factor the columns and the rows to get, what is it, x plus m, x plus n, or whatever it is. So I'm going to look at this column first, 2x squared and 1x. You're factoring out the greatest common factor. What do they have in common? What's one thing we know for sure they both have? X, yeah. And then you look at your coefficients, 2 and 1. Do they have anything in common? No. So we can't factor anything else. Then you look this way at the row. 2x squared and 8x. What do they have in common? An x. But also 2, yeah. Because 2 and 8 can both be divided by 2. One other thing you'd want to look at is this times x is going to have to give us 2x squared. So the 2 has to come from somewhere. It didn't come from here, so it has to come from this spot right here. 2x times x gives us 2x squared. And if you look 2 and 8, they can both be divided by 2. Okay, the next thing you would look at is what is this number going to be to get 8x? What do I multiply 2 by to get 8? 4. And I don't need an x because the x is coming from here. 2x times 4 is 8x. So I put plus 4 because everything's positive right now. I don't have any negatives. Then I look here. I see, okay, I'm going to multiply x by something to get 1x. So it has to be 1 as a plus 1. 1 times x gives me 1x. So then the last thing you would check is this going to be 4? 1 times 4, does that equal 4? Yes. So our factored form are these two. X plus 4 with parentheses around it and 2x plus 1. This is the factored form. So put a box around it. All right, let's go to the inside of our notes now. We don't have X's and boxes here, so we got to draw them ourselves. So step 1 was write your A, B, and C. Now do the X. in the box. Okay, something that's going to help you is going ahead and filling in the box with your first term here. Our first term is here, so put x squared there. And our last term is this box. Okay, so that helps. All right, so now we got to do our box. A, C, and B. So you multiply A times C. Well, A would have to be 1 because there's that invisible 1 up front. So 1 times 1 is 1. And then our B is 2. So this is where you do the X games. What times what gives me 1, but adds to get 2? 1 and 1, yeah. Those are the magic numbers. Where do your magic numbers go? Diagonals right here. So 1x and 1x. So let's factor. If this is x squared, then we know that these are going to have to be x. There's no guessing that because there's no number in front that we have to multiply to get it. We just know x and x make x squared. Then we look and see what times x is going to give me 1x. 1. 1 times x is 1x. Okay, what about this one? What times x is going to give me 1x? 1. And you can also look at what do they have in common? They both have a 1. So that's why I pulled out a 1. These both have a 1, so that's why I pulled out a 1. And I don't have any negatives, so I know this is going to be plus. I'm going to write my answer up here. So this is going to be x plus 1 times x plus 1. But we can shorten this by saying this is x plus 1 to the second power. Okay, go ahead and set up the next one. All right, so once you draw your x in your box, make sure to put these two in there. The 3x squared is top left. The minus 5 is bottom right. And then on your x, we do A, C, and B. So those are things that you can set up without any work. There's no work involved in that. It's just identifying what's what and where it goes. Label your A, your B, and your C. Get AC. So 3 times negative 5. It's negative 15. And then B is negative 2. So this is where we do our factors. What are the factors of negative 15 that add to get negative 2? Yeah. So, that'd be divided by x. So I'm going to put them in so I can look at what they are. So I can find the right combination of my numbers. Hit second graph. 1 and negative 15. So what you can do is you can hit second, quit to get out from there and add them. 1 plus negative 15. It's negative 14. That's not right. And then go back to your table by hitting second graph. Okay, the next one, 3 and negative 5. Second, quit. 3 plus negative 5. And that is it. 3 and negative 5. Those are your magic numbers. 3 plus negative 5. So the magic numbers go with these diagonals with x. So 3x negative 5x. So we filled in the box. Now we got to find out what goes out of the box. To find out what goes out, you look for your GCF, your greatest common factor. So look at the column. 3x squared and 3x. What do they have in common? The x and the 3, yeah. So I always do my first ones. Okay, what do these have in common? Just x. And another way to look at it would be, what am I going to multiply 3 by to get 3x squared? It would just be an x. Then we look here and see x times what is going to give me negative 5x. Yeah, just negative 5. The negative has to come from somewhere. And if you also look at the column, what did negative 5x and negative 5 have in common? Negative 5. So that's where it came from. Okay, now look at this one. What do they have in common? Anything? Nothing in common, so we put a 1. That's called prime. They have nothing in common except for 1. So that makes it prime, so we just pull out a 1. You can also look at 3x times what is going to give me 3x, and it's 1. Okay, so our answer is 3x minus 5. This is going to be plus x plus 1. Okay, I'm going to let you go ahead and do this next one. So your assignment is to finish all 4 of these. What you can always do, even if you don't know how to get started, this is how you get started. You do your X, you do your box, you fill in your first term, your last term. Then you can work on the rest. This was one that was requested, so we're going to go ahead and do this one together. I've already set up with my X and box. So now we're going to do A times C. So 4 times negative 5. It's negative 20. Then B is 8. So we're looking at the factors of negative 20 that add to get 8. So we're going to do negative 20. Find those factors. So we're going to look through them and see which one works. 1 and negative 20. If I add those, let's say you're not good at adding, then you would come over here and do that. So that's negative 19. So the first one is not it. Then hit second graph to go back to the table. 2 and negative 10. 2 plus negative 10. It's 8, but it's the wrong sign. So that tells me those are my numbers, but I need to flip the signs. So I'm going to do negative 10 plus positive, or negative 2 plus 10. There we go. See, once you find your number, you just switch your signs if it's not right. So it is negative 2 and positive 10. So those are your magic numbers, and it doesn't matter which spot you put 2, negative 2, and which spot you put 10. So if you do opposite, that's okay. These will just be reversed. So then factor. What do 4x squared and negative 2x have in common? 2x, right? What do I need to multiply here to get 4x squared? What's missing? 2x. Because 2 times 2 is 4, x times x is x squared. It's like a puzzle every time. So 2x times 10x. I mean, times something to get 10x. There we go. 5. And you can also look, what do these have in common? 10x and negative 5, it's the 5. Okay, what do these have in common? See how the first term is negative? Remember last week we did GCF. If the first term's negative, make sure you factor it out. So we know for sure it's going to have to be negative. And what is this going to have to be multiplied by to get negative 2x? 1, yeah. So we have 2x plus 5 times 2x minus 1. If you are like, I'm not sure if that's right, then you would do the multiplying to check it. So 2x times 2x is 4x squared. 2x times a negative 1 is negative 2x. Then 2x times 5 is 10x. And then 5 times negative 1 is negative 5. So we did it right. All right, you need to finish the rest of this and turn it in.